HBO Harry Potter TV series, Season 3, in my vision. So The Prisoner of Azkaban, if it's adapted into the HBO seasons and series, what do I want to see in each episode? I'm going through these episode by episode to explain what I would like to see and how HBO can make this really epic. So in episode 4, we had the cliffhanger of the fat lady, the painting being slashed, and the student screaming, "It's Sirius Black." So I feel like this is a moment we can expand on. In the book, there's a lot of detail here, but I want to go into some of this further because I think the students going around Hogwarts needs to be more addressed. We want to see actual footage of them like going around different classes, what the vibe is like, and how these impact each of the points where the different houses enter their chambers. So I feel like there's a good point here where we can look at the fat lady, but also I wanted to touch on the boggart lesson, which is a big one as we're midway, kind of halfway through. We're on episode 5 now, so I want to start speeding up a little bit because I feel like there's a lot I want to see, but I'm limiting each episode to about 2 or 3 points that I can think about that I'd like to expand on. Because the movies are there, we've got the books, and now HBO has the chance to really make this special. Professor Lupin's boggart lessons, they're very important for the progression of Harry, and it's finally a chance that they've got a teacher who's patient, approachable, and calm, and he's like more like the right teacher can make the subject very good for you. And it feels like Harry needed this because now he's got a way of trying to get over that fear that he's got from especially the Dementors, and that when the screams he heard, how he felt. And I think there's different elements here we can touch on because teachers compared to especially Snape, there's like a big difference between Lupin and Snape. So I feel like that's why there's a little bit of like hostility between the two teachers, as well as the past. We touched on that in the last episode. So the teaching style of Lupin creates a supportive environment, and I feel like it encourages students like to face their fears, especially because we get that moment of Longbottom and he gets Snape in and dressed up as Gran. So it's like very interesting how they play that. I like the movie version of that. I think we can stick to that. They should do a version of it. And we've obviously got the new cast now, so it'll be amazing to see how they make these new roles stand out for them. Also, boggarts, it's like, what is boggarts? What is the lesson about? So boggarts are shape shifters that take the form of one's greatest fear. And I think Lupin explains the importance of facing your fears in like in a way of also boggarts, and it's humor. Like, what is boggarts? What is the lesson about that? So which makes people a little bit more comfortable, especially the student form. And I really enjoyed watching that in the book. Fear. Before we get to this point, there's a lot more rich detail between like how Malfoy's talking about Buckbeak and all this detail about, oh, my dad's quite influential, so like it's possible that Buckbeak's not going to have a nice outcome out of all of this. So I feel like there's a little bit elements there we can touch on before we get to the lessons, but I'm jumping straight to the main points. Also, I'm jumping around because that's how I think about the book and then the movie when I'm moving these. So I'm hoping you're finding these insights very helpful. The charm ridiculous turns like the fear into like almost joking. So it's like a key theme of overcoming fear through like the mindset and the wit that the teacher can bring to the role, and how he's telling the kids like, this is what you can do. I feel at this point we're also getting a really important Neville's character development. So throughout the book, like there's quite a lot of mention about Neville, and we don't know like how important it is, like the class joker, the jester as it were, but slowly we're building up to a point that he's almost as important as Harry, like his development of how he's becoming better and what he will be in eventual seasons. And also because he's a key point in like the lesson here, because he's got a fear of Snape, and then Professor Lupin kind of brings that to a point where it shows his courage, and he's like made into a bit of a joke of Snape, and Lupin really encourages him to like get over that fear, not only with Snape but other things. He can use the same kind of scenario. And it's also good to see how Neville's success is like encouraged and then it's celebrated and highlighted. And during this scene it's also important to see like the different students, so maybe Snape's like idea of how he teaches, and the attitude, he's like sharply different. It contrasts to Lupin's supportive manner. So I think Snape's bullying of Neville in front of others kind of underscores ongoing tension and injustice in like the teaching environment. So it's important in the book. We get quite a bit about that, where he makes a mistake and Snape's like, I will feed that potion to your toad and see how well he does. Make sure next time you don't make a mistake. And like Hermione tries to help, but Snape's like, oh, we don't want to give you a chance to show off. So he's very like mean in some of his comments as a teacher and not encouraging, which is like sharply contrasted with Lupin. And I feel there's just different empathy levels, insecurity, and we know what's happened to Snape, but is that justified, him treating everybody else badly for the rest of his life because he was bullied when he was younger? What do you think? I saw a fan film about Snape and the Marauders, and then I finally see how badly Snape was treated like when he was younger. That was a fan film, so they put it in a different perspective, but it's very encouraging to see, okay, now I get it why he hates XXX so much. If you haven't seen that, I might link it in the description. It's like a great fan film that will give you a bit of insight and knowledge to that. There's a lot of stuff out there that HBO could use as flashbacks, like just to give us a better idea. Because originally, when I didn't see that fan film, I didn't get the extent of why Snape is what he is. It's like, why is he so mean towards like certain people? But then you find out, oh, okay, there's a nice backstory. It's always two sides to a story. And it's only when you see the full picture that you can understand, okay, it's not justified he's mean, but now you understand why he's mean. So there's loads of bits here that HBO could really touch on and tap into to bring that all into one series because we've got more time. And I feel like during this season, this episode as well, there's a lot of fear and encouragement and courage to kind of find out, okay, throughout this journey now, we're identifying the fears, we're finding the internal and external fears that we've all got and bringing them forward. So like Ron's scared of the spider, Neville's scared of Snape. So like it's bringing those out and then finding a way of being able to get over them, and also do it in like a fun and safe environment, because even now Harry's still not able to get over his fear factor of Dementors and how they treat him really like they want to just suck his life out. So it's a little bit confusing. It's connecting the Voldemort and Dementors towards like what is to be coming in future. And also this moment is leading up towards Harry facing the bugger with his fear, the Dementors. And at this point, it's very interesting how Lupin handles this, because now like Harry's, psyching himself up to be ready to handle what he knows is coming. And he feels like, is he ready? Isn't he ready? But it looks like there's an executive decision made by Lupin, because obviously he stands in the way. So he doesn't actually let Harry directly face his fear. And we want to see a little bit of thinking around this. Why did Lupin step in the way? Did he think Harry wasn't ready yet, or did he know that there's deeper rooted issues here with like the Voldemort Dementors link? And there's loads of little details there that I'd really like to be seen expanded. So also, did he do that because he didn't want Harry to be like embarrassed in front of all the school in the class? Because if he fainted again, Malfoy's already taking the mick out of him. So is that why Lupin stepped in? Because he was like, you know what, I'm not sure you're ready for this yet. It's a big challenge. And then it obviously leads to that tutoring, closer connection to make him understand what's going on. And that's a really important relationship to carry on going through the seasons. And I feel Lupin's subtle protection over Harry is foreshadowing a deeper connection. So is there something deeper that is there that needs to be expanded on? Because he's obviously not let Harry face his fear, because a bugger was meant to be his to handle, but he made the decision to not allow him to do that, especially with like James Potter and Harry's parents and like the connections there. Is it possible that when we introduce Lupin, there's like a flashback to maybe how he knew his parents and how he wants to be protective over Harry, knowing what's to come? So there's loads of extra detail here, which is very important. The foreshadowing, personal history that Lupin can share. Maybe like that's a point that we can have in discussion, because in the books there's mention of this. But when Lupin steps in the way and Harry's not able to face the bugger, maybe there's like a little scene there that can happen to explain that, oh, you know what, this is what's going on, Harry, and this is, I knew your parents, and a bit more about how he's protecting him to try and get him ready to face the fear, the extra training that takes place. There's loads of extra information here that would be really good to have, and I feel like HBO can really do a good job having this expanded out. So in summary, for this episode, we get a little bit more about Lupin's teaching style, how he's so different from Snape. We get like the transformative power and empowerment of Neville, like the story around how he's building up, the power of fear and laughter, like how Lupin's able to make this a little bit more easier for everybody, and also the famous unspoken struggle of Harry, where he still didn't face the boggart, and why Lupin stepped in. So I feel these are like key elements that I wanted to expand on in this episode. There's quite a lot here. I've learned from season 1 and season 2 because I wanted just too much and we couldn't fit it all in. So now I'm trying to reduce these down so we get the main key elements in each episode. So at least we're getting more than we got in the movies, and we're getting a little bit more out from the books and stuff that kind of resonates with me personally, which I remember from the reading of the book, listening to audiobooks as well as the movies. Let me know what you think should be expanded in this episode. Also, the cliffhanger for this episode, I think it should be Marauder's map. Harry gets handed the Marauder's map, he sees the footsteps, and now he's kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. This is obviously because the Hogsmeade thing and he couldn't get there, so it's going to be very interesting for the next episode. I'm doing these episode at a time. I'm going to make all of them into a binge-worthy cut, but once the binge-worthy cut comes out at the end, you'll have everything to watch in one go. But so far, you're getting an advanced view, episode by episode. You'll see the next episode in the series here, and I am on X, formerly known as Twitter, and posting regularly, so follow me over there if you want to get in on the conversation and decide what I get in my next episodes. This was season 3. Let's see you on the next episode here.